There's a lot of hype on AI, but it's actually the opposite when it comes to AIPM roles. Look at the median total comp that is available for them. The median salary for AIPM is skyrocketing.
Hamza Farooq, an expert who has worked with companies like Home Depot, TripAdvisor, and Jack in the Box on their AI, and is going to give you all of the sauce for free.
Previously, you didn't need to know the technical details. You didn't need to know what drag is. You didn't need to know what fine tuning is. You don't need to know how context engineering works. You have to be a jack of all trades. You need to know exactly what AI can do.
If they want to go from here, what else is there in the 6-month roadmap to go from no experience to PM at OpenAI or Anthropic?
Within 30 minutes, we were able to build Lovable, connected to N8N, and have RAG working right in front of us. In today's episode, we're going to teach you everything from prototyping, RAGs, and agent, all how to become an AIPM.
Can somebody without experience become an AIPM? Really quickly, I think a crazy stat is that more than 50% of you listening are not subscribed. If you can subscribe on YouTube, follow on Apple or Spotify podcasts, my commitment to you is that we'll continue to make this content better and better. And now on to today's episode. Hamza, welcome to the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here, Aakash. Thank you for having me.
So the topic today is AI product management. And where I want to start is AI product management all hype? A lot of people have been telling me this role doesn't even exist. A lot of product managers have been saying people are talking too much about AIPM. Is it real?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's a lot of hype on AI, but it's actually the opposite when it comes to AIPM roles. Because who's going to make them into real products, into real systems so that users can associate with that? And I just want to show you one screen, just one detail to show you the growth that we have seen for the requirement of AIPMs across the board. And it's just because these things are a need for today. You need to learn all these things so that you can build products so users can go beyond using ChatGPT. And if there is one more, sort of marker for it, look at the median total comp that is available for them. You look at the 25th prompt, the 70th. I mean, I really hope that, people land at the 90th percentile, but just the median salary for AIPM is skyrocketing. This is only second to software engineers, or even exactly where the software engineers are right now in the Bay Area.
Why do you think that AIPMs are paid so well?
Well, it's basically not just a PM role anymore. That's the reason behind it. You have to be a jack of all trades. You need to know exactly what AI can do. Previously, you didn't need to know the technical details. You didn't need to know what drag is. You didn't need to know what fine tuning is. You don't need to know, hey, this is how context engineering works. Here, what we're seeing is that the AIPM is needed to understand to build the next generation of tools that did not even exist a year ago. For example, Lovable. Lovable is a product that we didn't even imagine about like a year ago, or maybe a little more than a year ago. Who would have thought that you could just build websites just like that? Your AIPM role is paramount to make this available for the next billion users.
It's really thinking ahead about what are going to be the next generation of products. These are going to be AI-enabled products. Therefore, we need PMs who deeply understand AI to build them.
Exactly. Because if you don't know what AI can do for you, you are stuck in going all about what GPT is doing, what OpenAI is coming up with. You have to think about, I'm an e-commerce company. How can I use AI to get what's best for my customers? That's what you need to know what AI can do for you.
This is some fascinating data. OpenAI and Google obviously playing at those 90th percentile that we saw, Oracle playing at that 10th percentile. Overall, AIPM, highly lucrative field.
Absolutely. Like, this is the best time I think ever it has been to become an AIPM and actually lead from the front so that you can build products for your users.
Does any of the content around AIPM really matter if you don't have AI experience? Can somebody without experience become an AIPM?
Well, that's what people have done in the past couple of years. Like, let's say if you want to become a doctor, you have to go through school, you have to have learning, you have training. Well, to be honest, OpenAI just dropped GPT to us, in 2023. And we all had to scramble and learn. And that's the biggest thing that, that we tell people is don't live in FOMO. There is a roadmap, there is stuff, there is training that you can achieve, assimilate, and actually become an AIPM in like 6 months or less.
Amazing. So what are the key skills? What's the 6-month roadmap to become an AIPM?
Well, I think the most important thing is to first identify the tools that you sort of need to learn to get started. And if you look at the slides, this slide seems a little daunting. Like, oh my God, I have to learn so many things. But honestly, it's how you use them, and you don't have to use every single one of them. For example, and I'm going to start using the whiteboard. So the first thing you need to know is what kind of tools do you need and how do you want to use them. And I'm going to draw a very basic architecture design for you, the most simplest that should get you started. You need to know how to use an LLM as an API endpoint. So you have GPT available to you, you have the chat GPT available to you as an application. They all have API endpoints. So you need to have an API connection or be able to understand how to use an API, which is almost literally getting a key and you're ready to go. From that, you need a backend ecosystem, for example, N8N. N8N is this magical ecosystem which is completely no code. You don't need to write a single line of code, and this amazing tool gets you up and running with the backend of what the engine that becomes your AI backend. And then, like any other tool, you need to have a front end or the main landing screen where your users will sort of communicate with you. So if you go here, you basically, what you want is a front end, and we use something like a Lovable to build a front end, right?
Got it.
And again, this is a no code tool.
LLM backend front end, pretty simple architecture.
So I want to take you through an example. I've written three different architecture components. Now let me show you a simple example. So Aakash, I want to ask you, do you use Airbnb?
Of course.
Right. I am the biggest fan of Airbnb. Like, I'm their, platinum level. If they had a tier, I'm the platinum tier. Now, the one thing that I hate about Airbnb is I cannot search anything beyond the dates and a city. I literally cannot do anything beyond that. So I built this unofficial version of Airbnb, and I really want to show you guys an example of this. So for instance, I want to stay in a modern apartment in Tokyo near the train station, and looking into today's, let's just say that I want to go from 25th of November to 2020, let's just say 29th of November. And that's all. All I need to do is just enter my name and my email. And what this tool will do now is it will connect. So this is the front end, which is built on Lovable. This is the backend. This is the backend, which has been built on N8N. It will receive the request from the user, and using the request from the user, it will call something which is called MCP. And before you worry about what is MCP and what are these things, all I want you to worry about is everything over here is built with a no code. Like, all you need to do is build things in the simplest form. And once you have this thing ready, this workflow gets activated. And once this workflow is activated for you, it will generate a response. It will run behind the scenes, and then it will generate the listings for you that you can find in Tokyo. And once it has discovered all of them, it will send you an email saying, "Hey, I have found the Airbnbs that are most relevant to what you are looking for." Right? So imagine we identify a customer need. We said, this customer, we as customers would like better search capability, and we are able to get that search available to us. And as part of a magician, the last thing is to show the result. So when I open my email over here, I have the date. It picked up the dates. It picked up locations. It tells you why it's a good location for you. And just
it's like ChatGPT natural language concierge for Airbnb.
Right. And then if you click on a link, it's actually it's not hallucinated for you. It's actually the right dates.
It's a live link.
Yeah, it's a live link, right? So
okay, so we've seen the end product. Can you walk us step by step how we would build this ourselves?
Absolutely. So there are, as I said, there are three major components to it. There's an LLM API, there's a backend where you build N8N, and there is a Lovable front end which you have to work on, right? So in order to get started, let's just say we want to start with building the backend API. So, the best thing over here is that I have, finally gotten to writing comments and everything is available for you. So this is what N8N looks like over here. You have N8N set up. You're like, how do I know I need all these components? Well, it's actually pretty easy. Once you start designing the ecosystem, you're like, okay, There's a Airbnb. I need to build an MCP connector. The job of the MCP connector over here is to take your request and be able to connect to Airbnb app and pull information from there.
Awesome. Really quickly, if you've been enjoying this episode so far, Hamza teaches 2 Maven courses that I highly recommend. The first is the Agent Engineering Bootcamp. This has 4.8 stars with over 78 reviews. It's a 7-week live cohort-based course. People at Google, Walmart, and other places are taking this course and learning a lot. The second course he does is Agentic AI System Design for PMs. If you want to go to that next layer technically on agents, even further than what we're doing in this episode, you should check out that course. Use code AakashXMaven for a discount and use my URL in the description to get that discount automatically applied. Now back to today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Amplitude. Replays of mobile user engagement are critical to building better products and experiences. But many session replay tools don't capture the full picture. Some tools take screenshots every second, leading to choppy replays and high storage costs from enormous capture sizes. Others use wireframes, but key moments go missing, creating gaps in your understanding. Neither approach gives you a truly mobile experience. Amplitude does things differently. Their mobile replays capture the full experience. Every tap, every scroll, and every gesture, with no lag and no performance hit. It's the most accurate way to understand mobile behavior. See the full story with Amplitude. Can we build this from scratch?
Well, yes, you can, but in order for you to make a lasagna, you should know how to bake something simple. And in order to get us started and not get overwhelmed, let's start with the most basic building steps of an N8N, all right? The first basic step of using Lovable and N8N together is a webhook. Webhook is this magical thing that allows you to communicate across different tools. And that's what we're going to do right now. So for instance, the first thing you want to do is, if you go to our GitHub, I've created a roadmap on how to get started with N8N. You can start, the most basic one is start here, which is literally just a couple of nodes. But here what I want to do is I want to build something a little smarter for us, which is able to connect to Lovable and it's able to run on N8N at the same time. And the basic version of this is that there is a webhook, which is your front end. You have a webhook which communicates with N8N and is able to respond back and forth in real time for you. So the first thing we'll do is, what you want to do is, if you click on the webhook over here, and this is the best thing, there's so many examples that are already created that we don't have to worry about, hey, how do I do everything from scratch? This is the most basic way to get started. There's a JSON file. You copy the JSON file and you come to N8N, you can paste the whole thing and it's ready to go. It's ready to sort of build from there to what you have been trying to build. So you come here, paste it. That's your workflow right here. Now, I'm not even going to start with the webhook so that, I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. How do you get the minimal thing to work for you? You want to add something which is called a chat trigger. A trigger is basically the way you want an agent to start talking to you. It's what you call to have your agent converse with your ecosystem. So we bring this here, we connect this to our AI agent, and over here, we just want to mention that this is connected to a chat trigger. There's a chat model associated with that. There's an open router here. We are using the DeepSeek model. So the best thing about open router is that you have access to every single LLM that you can think of. It's available for you. So you have DeepSeek over here. And when you click on open chat, you say, hey, how are you? And it responds, I'm just a virtual agent. I don't have feelings, but I'm happy to help you with whatever you need. Now, you're like, Hamza, this is so basic. Why is this important to me? I'll tell you why. We have an AI agent. We've added memory. So I can say, hey, can you remember? Actually, you can say, hey, I am Hamza and I like.
Me too.
Right? So it says, all right, I don't care if you remember, if you like chocolate ice cream. But what it says, it's like, can you tell me something about me? All right.
Okay. Even expanded a little bit.
Yeah. So you see, N8N is so intuitive and it is so powerful that just using 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes, it's starting to remember who you are. And from there's an AI agent, you can connect to any LLM that exists through OpenRouter. I definitely want to tell people to start using OpenRouter, because you need, from one key, using one key of OpenRouter, you can literally select any LLM that is commercially or freely available, right? So one key to rule them all is sort of the name of the game over here.
What is the rules of thumb or mental things you think about when you're trying to choose an LLM?
Number one is that you want to start with the usual suspects. You want to pick up, OpenAI, you want to pick up Claude, you can pick up DeepSeek. They're all great ones. You don't want to go into something which you never heard of. So rule of thumb, pick the ones that you're familiar with. They're going to get you they're going to perform the best. They're going to be mostly available, and they're going to produce the results that you expect, right? So here what we have is something which is contained within. Everything over here is contained within. There is nothing which is going to the outside world. So how do we get this to interact with the outside world? And that's where, things become a little interesting. We now introduce a new tool which we call as webhooks. And what webhooks do is they connect you to the outside world. So instead of using chat, you connect using webhook, and you can remove your chat experience. So now what we're doing is that we are adding two new variables or two new nodes. We have a webhook over here to listen in for incoming responses, and we have a webhook here which responds to whatever has been requested, right? So simple enough. We have a webhook that will listen, a webhook which will pass the information to the AI agent. The AI agent will listen to the conversation that has been sent, and then from there it will respond to via the webhook. And this is the simplest form. Like, this is as basic as it gets in order to set it up. So what we do here is, so we can make a little bit of mock data for us that will sort of make sure that we are able to get to we have the right information over here. This data is pinned. We want to unpin it. We want to set up mock data, and we want to say all right. So what we have done is that we have now created a mock data. In the mock data, what we want to do is we just want to test out that are we able to produce, are we able to get the results that we hope to get when we try to run this. And what we'll do is, we'll fix this. We want to define below.
What are the tips for writing a system prompt well?
It's literally the same tips that you have for writing on ChatGPT, on Claude. All you want to do is you want it to be concise. You want, keep the replies short and 2 to 3 answers. You want, if the request is away, give a general answer. These are really good tips. Like, they've already built things over here that you can use. And you have memory over here. And in the memory, what you want to do is you want to say, hey, I want to take information. And this is, let's just remove memory for a second just to test out. What happened just now is that you passed a request through a webhook. You set a mock data on a webhook. Now the webhook has information, has a question which says how many moons does Saturn have? And what the LLM did is that it responded pretty much that we would see in the chat. But the difference over here is that this entire thing can now be connected to a Lovable frontend. And I'll show you the magic in a minute. I just want to add memory over here. I want to add simple memory. And the beauty about this thing is you're just connecting the information that is coming from the webhook, and you're just you're passing the information over here. So what you want to do is you want to say, this is the query. I'm just going to save the query as a key. Usually you want to save the information as a session ID. We can work on that if you have time, but basically memory is where you're storing the past information. As I showed you before, you're saving memory at this point. How do we export this conversation? How do we export this to our users further? Or how do we make sure that, let's say we want to save memory at a user level. I want to say that, hey, for every given user, I'm going to save an information. We'll introduce a user ID so that you can see how that works. Now what we'll do is that we'll go to Lovable. And I'm going to open Lovable. This is Lovable for us. And I'm going to write a prompt that says, please build me. All right. I'm mentioning a few things which I never mentioned before. Like, I'm sure, Aakash, you've used Lovable before, but here I'm adding a little bit more information over here. I'm giving it information on my webhook that exists over here. So I'm saying,
copy the webhook URL.
Yes. So I just copied the webhook URL and I said a post webhook, right? And in the post webhook, this is the post webhook connected to N8N post webhook, and the only body message which will be sent.
So please build me a finance agent chatbot which is connected to N8N post webhook URL. And the only body message which will be sent is a user query, and you will receive a response from the webhook.
Yep, that's it.
Simple.
Right. And then we let N8N do its job. Usually there's a bit of a tinkering that you need to do. It's always interesting to see how results happen in real time. But what it's doing right now, it's going to build a finance agent, as we know, what Lovable does best. But it's actually, I've given it the information about the webhook, which I'm very interested to see if it starts calling, if it's able to call the webhook that we have created over here. Right.
And is it going to do this like securely? Like if we deploy this website, is it going to like properly hide this so other people can't?
Yeah. So what you can do is that you can add authentication. So if you see on N8N, there is authentication options also. There's basic auth, there's header auth, and there's JWT authentication. So you can build in authentication also. So let's say, Aakash, you sign in with your email and you're like, I want to make sure that I stick to my information is only relevant to me. That's where you're going to pass the user ID as the authenticate, or the auth key, which is created from Lovable into your system.
Got it.
Right. This is like we right now are just scratching the surface. Right now all we're trying to do is how to slice and dice our vegetables.
Got it.
Right. So coming back to Lovable. So we have a finance agent that is alive. Now, usually there is always, when you start working with it, what you want to first see is, can it connect? So I'm going to write, hey, can you hear me? And what we want to do and make sure over here is that we have our N8N active, which means it is now listening for a request to connect from Lovable. Yep. So we come here and we say, hey, can you hear me? So this is the moment of truth. What happens here is that what it did is that it will go, and let's just see what happens, right? It went over here and said,
Yep, we see the same message in both places.
Exactly. So it's starting to hear. Like let's just start with the fact that it did send us a request, and it said, if you see over here, hey, can you hear me? Right. So the thing that we need to focus on is match the webhook response, or the request of webhook, to how we are seeing it coming to us. And the design of the this is the only technical part that we need to know, is how is when we have the execution part and we received a webhook, we are trying to see what was the message that was sent to us. So you see there is a message over here, right? And if you look at this architecture design, this is the entire header. These are the parameters, and this is the query that was sent to us. And this is the message that we, so what we are looking for is the webhook architecture, which matches this. So the only difference is that essentially our idea is that we want to match the webhook architecture to the architecture that matches what we have received from our user. So here, if you see, there's a body and there's a message over here. So all I need to do is come here, open this. So I'm going to try to write body, not message. I'm going to try this again. It takes a bit of a tinkering.
And this is to get the message in the right format.
Yes, that's all. That's it. Like there is also code that you can use to see. Now it responded, right? So, and I know I'm just building something very basic right now. All I want to show is the capability. You know, the text is not coming in the format that we would like to see right now, but essentially the idea is we have a completely different ecosystem of Lovable that exists on a different path. And I'm just going to come to this one here. What we have done is the webhook sort of enabled us to send a request back to N8N.
Yep.
N8N is able to respond back, which is the biggest, to be honest, it's always, like you're putting someone on the spot for a live demo, but it did work.
Yep.
Very basic stuff. It did work, right? And then what you can do is once you come here on, the chat conversation and say, can you tell me historically which finance model, which
stocks have performed well. Okay.
Right? So right now it's just using the knowledge of the LLM. It is not connected to any tool. It's not connected to any search. It's not connected to anything right now, right? Now it's answering just like ChatGPT would answer for.
And in this case, I think we had Deep Sky, right, in the background?
Right. It's DeepSeek.
DeepSeek, yep.
Yeah. Right. So what it's doing is that it's generating the output for you, and we can ask Lovable to say,
reformat this.
menu.
Parse this.
Yes.
So parse the output so that we only have the output, not the other sort of AI tags and AI nodes
Yes.
and brackets.
Yes. So now Lovable has an endpoint which is clearing it up for you, right? So this is very minimal, of course. We're not going after changing the entire ecosystem, but essentially you can now add a bunch of fancy things over here.
So the topic we need to all know about and learn a lot about is RAG. Can we learn about what RAG is and see that in action?
Yes, absolutely. So let me start with the most basic question for you. How many documents, PDF, presentations, things, how many documents do you think you have on your laptop right now?
Thousands, tens of thousands.
Right. Now let's take it to the next level. Let's talk about organization with 10 people.
100,000 million, yeah.
Right. Now let's take it to 1,000 people, right?
Billions.
You have millions of documents, millions and millions of documents. It is estimated that 80% of all your data in an organization is unstructured, which is PDFs, presentations, memos, all of that is what's stored over there. How do you retrieve that information? How do I find out what was the latest numbers on our conversation with client A? There is no way unless you do a Control F, find the relevant name of the document, open that document, read through it, and get to the right answer. What RAG has done for us, in this day and age, is that RAG can consume all our documents, store them, and you can literally search as if you're searching on the internet or like you're doing Google search. You can literally do a Google search on your own documents, and those documents are now available for you to use anywhere, right? So, and not just you can ask questions about it. it will not return you the most relevant document. It will also return you a TLDR of, hey, based on my understanding of document A, B, and C, this is the latest update that has happened, or this is the latest update that you should know about this particular customer. That is the power of retrieval augmented generation, or enterprise knowledge management as we know it. And it is one of the fastest growing industries. Like, agents are great, but there's a great company with the name of Glean. Glean started out as a RAG company, and now they've introduced agents and other things, but that's what their major bread and butter has been to make that. Now, in order to make N8N use RAG, I think it's quite possible. So there are 2-3 ways that you can do it. The first way is you can basically connect to Supabase. So there's a Supabase vector store, there's a Supabase tools that you can add, and you will have to add documents to it, and you'll have to design a bunch of things with that. Of course, it takes a little bit of time. Like, it just takes step-by-step process to do it. However, in order to make something work live, let's just try to make it happen in real time. So our company, we have a tool that we call Traversal Pro. And all you need to do in Traversal Pro is upload a document. It does all the work by itself. It will do everything for you. So once you have logged in, again, I'm not trying to sell the product. I'm just saying that we found out that it takes a while to build RAG. Why don't we build projects? So think about it like this. We have these different toolkits of different projects. So let's say you have knowledge repository. You have knowledge repository 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we would like to do is make sure that knowledge repository has only the most relevant documents that we want from our customer. So it's almost like magic that we have this project management handbook over here, right? And what we can do from here is you can go to the playground. You can go to the playground. You can ask questions. Hopefully it should work. Right? So what it did is that it got you to that answer, reading the document for you.
Got it.
And it gives you grounded responses on where the answer came from, which part, which part of the chapter, which page, and all of that. It shows you the chunks that it came up with the answer from, right? So you're like, okay, Hamza, this is over here. How do I bring it to N8N? How do I go from here to N8N? It's so easy. You go to an API key, you generate your API key, right? You save that API key somewhere. I'm gonna save it temporarily over here. Now you're like, Hamza, I don't like to write code. Why are you making me write all this code? You don't have to write any code. Here's the best part. You don't have to write any code at all. You can copy this entire code. Let's just say, this is the code.
Yeah.
And you come to N8N and you say, you know what? I want to connect to a device. I want to connect to another API endpoint. So you select a HTTP request, and you can just tell the HTTP request that this is if you could click on import curl, you can paste the exact thing over there. It will figure out what it needs to do for you. This is the key. Guess what? It built everything for you.
Nice.
All right, so here we have saved it. And what we can do is we can call it. So here, I'm just going to define what this tool does for me. And that's it. All right. So here, this is the thing. We have added a RAG tool right here. The RAG tool is now connected to another backend API. So N8N is this multifaceted tool. I'm going to come back to the whiteboard that can also enable you to connect to multiple API services. Mm-hmm. You're not just using just the capability of N8N's orchestration. It has the ability to connect to multiple APIs outside and call that response for you in real time as you are building your product. All right. So let's just hope this works. I'm going to try to I'm going to try to update this and say, you can also say,
You have access to a RAG tool to answer questions about product management.
yes, you have an answer. All right. Okay.
Save that.
Now I just saved that. I'm gonna try if it, if it's able to pick up. Usually it should work. Let's see. All right. So it gave you an answer, right? It gave you an answer.
Yep.
Now, what we want to do is that we want to see if it used.
The handbook.
Yes. So you come to executions over here and you see the execution. So if you look at the log here, it called the handbook right here. You see this chunk text?
Yep.
It's calling that request from there, from RAG tool, and then converting combining all the responses. So it will look to the memory, then it will use the LLM, and then it will use the LLM to generate a question for you. What are the best practices?
So much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I mean,
That was
for me,
great.
I'm happy that it's working all in real time, right in front of you.
Trust isn't just earned, it's demanded. Whether you're a startup founder navigating your first audit or a seasoned professional scaling your GRC program, proving your commitment to security has never been more critical or more complex. That's where Vanta comes in. Businesses use Vanta to establish trust by automating compliance needs across over 35 frameworks like SOC 2 and ISO 27001. Centralized security workflows, complete questionnaires up to 5 times faster, and proactively manage vendor risk. Vanta can help you start or scale your security program by connecting you with auditors and experts to conduct your audit and set up your security program quickly. Plus, with automation and AI throughout the platform, Vanta gives you time back, so you can focus on building your company. Join over 9,000 global companies like Atlassian, Quora, and Factory who use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. For a limited time, my listeners get $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/Aakash. That's vanta.com/AAKASH for $1,000 off. Today's episode is brought to you by Naya One. In tech buying, speed is survival. How fast you can get a product in front of customers decides if you will win. If it takes you 9 months to buy one piece of tech, you're dead in the water. Right now, financial services are under pressure to get AI live. But in a regulated industry, the roadblocks are real. Naya One changes that. Their air-gapped, cloud-agnostic sandbox lets you find, test, and validate new AI tools much faster, from months to weeks, from stuck to shipped. If you're ready to accelerate AI adoption, check out Naya One at nayaone.com/Aakash. That's nayaone.com/AAKASH. Today's episode is brought to you by the experimentation platform Chameleon. 9 out of 10 companies that see themselves as industry leaders and expect to grow this year say experimentation is critical to their business. But most companies still fail at it. Why? Because most experiments require too much developer involvement. Chameleon handles experimentation differently. It enables product and growth teams to create and test prototypes in minutes with prompt-based experimentation. You describe what you want, Chameleon builds a variation of your web page, lets you target a cohort of users, choose KPIs, and runs the experiment for you. Prompt-based experimentation makes what used to take days of developer time turn into minutes. Try prompt-based experimentation on your own web apps. Visit chameleon.com/prompt to join the waitlist. That's KAMELEOON.com/prompt. So RAG is a many tens of billions of dollar industry. People are also talking a lot about fine-tuning and context engineering. What do AIPMs need to know about those?
Awesome. Well, I'm going to talk about context engineering. All right. And context engineering for me is the most important thing that an AIPM should know. Usually what we do is that, when you're trying to talk to an LLM, we have a system prompt and we have a user prompt. Correct? These are the two things that we have available to us, or we basically use them for our LLM to respond to us in the way we would like it to, respond. However, let's just say, Aakash, I want to make it personalized to you and personalized to me. So let's say we have a finance agent which is listening to your conversation and you're like, you know what, I only want to invest in S&P 500. I want to do safe trading. I want to do things, that which have historically, been, they have gone up and they are safe bets. So we want to say Aakash wants to go after S&P 500, right? And now let's just say I'm another person. I'm like, I'm very frivolous, and I'm like, I'm going to go into crypto, right? I'm like, you know what? I don't make any money. Ever since I quit Google, you realize how less money you make. Right? So I'm gonna, do or die, or like all in. So how do we make sure that you are getting the right information, like you are getting the right information, and I'm getting the right information that is relevant to me? And that's where context engineering plays a role. So here, what we do is that we have a system user prompt and a user prompt. Then what we can do is we add memory, which are your past interactions and things that the LLM has learned about you and stored. So we call this the long-term memory. This is also a prompt. And then we get information, relevant information from the RAG. So you just saw the RAG, right? You just saw that the RAG was able to pull context and you were able to get an answer. That's your RAG connector right there. So when you combine all these things, that's your context engineering.
Got it.
Prompt engineering is what you tell an LLM. Context engineering is how you design the instructions for your LLM. And that's the beauty of having the knowledge of context engineering, because it then makes your entire ecosystem dance. You can get personalization, you can get specific answers to what you are looking for, and it understands each users based on that information, right? So context engineering is extremely important, more important than prompt engineering now, because you have to combine multiple levels of things at the same time, get to that answer in today's world, right? So that's what we have context engineering for. The second thing that you have mentioned is fine-tuning. Yep. So you see, fine-tuning is all about task adaptation. So usually when you have a LLM, the LLM can produce, you give it a prompt, and for every prompt, there's a response. However, you want to say, hey, you know what? I don't want this this LLM to produce general responses. I want the LLM to only produce Python code and the best practice Python code. So that's when you fine tune an LLM on best practices of coding. So it becomes a coding agent or a coding LLM, right? So fine tuning, again, I want to say, is task adaptation, in which you're basically telling the LLM, this is how I want you to respond, and this is the context behind it. These are 10,000 examples or 100,000 examples of what greatness looks like over there.
And once you give it all those examples, it can really customize to that specific use case and become that specified LLM.
Exactly. Yeah. Another example is that you work, let's say you work for a pharma company, and you want the LLM to remember the vocabulary about your things, about the different, acronyms you have, and different products that you have built. That's where you fine tune for vocabulary. I want to say vocabulary and not knowledge. Vocabulary refers to adding new words to the LLM. For knowledge, what you want to do is you want to connect to a RAG.
Amazing. So we've given people a preview of the knowledge. We've given them the demo. If they want to go from here, what else is there in the 6-month roadmap to go from no experience to PM at OpenAI or Anthropic?
So I'm going to share sort of like a very basic architecture that, I tell people. You have to learn by doing things. The best way is to keep building things. This is a sort of a basic roadmap. You need to know what LLMs are. In this conversation, we looked into how we can build applications. We discussed prompt engineering. Then we looked into, some kind of RAGs. Now, you just have to follow this roadmap in order to build better products. And you have to do it, you have to follow this theme over and over again till you get to a point where you have identified this is the roadmap, or you've started to feel that I am making sense. And this is how you do it. One of the most important questions I get from people is, what should I build? Why do I need to, how do I go? And I tell them, think of 3-wave approach. The first wave is You want to build something which saves you time, efficiency gain, productivity gains. I'm not doing anything else. I'm just saving time to do something. Exact same thing. The second wave is you want to build better quality, better output. And the third is that you are building something which is completely new. So for instance, you have, let's say, Aakash, you meet a lot of people. You need maybe a summarizer which says, this is the conversation you had with all the people today. And these are the action steps that you need to do. That's your time, cost, and efficiency. The second part is quality, better output. Hey, AI agent, can you take my video, slice and dice into different parts, and make a trailer out of it? The third part is, hey, AI, can you actually build an AI recording of as if this is the prototype of the script? I want you to build a script. I want you to have, AI agents which act like human and do the recording for me, and then publish it on my YouTube channel.
Very cool. Yes, I should build that.
Yeah, right. So, and now it just makes sense. So instead of just following the roadmap, oh, I need to learn tools. You saw within 30 minutes, we were able to build Lovable, connect it to N8N, and have RAG working right in front of us.
Yep.
Right? That's what you need to do. You need to keep building things and see where your products fit in the business problem that you're trying to solve for your customers. Does it solve a user problem? Does it solve an organization problem? Does it align with your business model?
3 awesome questions to ask yourself as you guys go on this AIPM learning journey. So I want to talk to you a little bit here at the end of the episode about you. What is the business of Hamza? How big is the business of Hamza? You were formerly Google. We talked about poking fun about. Those are some serious golden handcuffs. What does the pie chart of your revenue look like today?
So there are essentially 2 different things which I'm doing right now. I run a startup with the name of Traversal.ai. We experimented with a lot of different tools. We had, initial traction on them also, and we kept building. But where we have sort of found a PMF is we have become this company that you can connect, that our tagline is intelligence that runs your data. So imagine manufacturers across US. You have, for instance, you have P&Gs of the world, you have the Unilever, but then there are small and medium businesses also. Imagine we work with a manufacturer who builds all the boxes for Amazon.
Whoa.
Then they're nowhere small and medium, but they're just like a mom and pop manufacturing that basically is producing cardboard boxes for Amazon. They had 0 data scientists. They had 0 insights on what and how much should they produce. They were reactive, which meant that, hey, we're going to get a response from a request from a customer. We're going to scramble and so they were always like just in time building. What we did is that we built an army of agents for them that can process that information and give 20,000 SKU at a daily level, that this is the expected demand for them for the next 1 week, for the next 14 days, for the next 3 weeks, right? And it saves money for inventory optimization. It gives them better planning. It gives them saving money on raw material because they know what they're going to demand be, so they can purchase it beforehand. So we call this product as Olive. And we're working with Jack in the Box. We're working with Home Depot for similar use cases. So that's the company that we have. The second part of my life in ecosystem is teaching across various, various industries. Maven is a huge part of that ecosystem. In fact, one of the major reasons that I was able to quit Google was I started Maven. I started teaching on Maven, and Maven gave me enough money, or I made enough money on Maven to get started with that, right? So I like to say 10-15% of my entire year revenue comes from Maven, and teaching different courses apart from Maven. And the remaining comes from, working in my organization, working with our customers, subscription services for our products, so on and so forth. And that's how we have been building slowly our company and learning about, actually becoming an AIPM myself.
Yes. So you're practicing these skill sets day in, day out. That's so cool. Why keep the Maven course around if you have a successful software startup? It feels like most people would just do one or the other.
You see, I'm gonna let you into a secret. I teach, yes, because I make the money, but I teach because I grow. So I teach 2 courses. I teach a foundation course, which is an AIPM course, because that's my learning on how I have learned to build empathy towards users and customers. And when the crowd that we get over there are folks who really want to build something, but they do not have the tools to build them. So I learn from their ideas. I learn from their thought process. The second group is a developer course, which I teach on what we are building in our company. We build in open space. So our entire product is in public. So they're almost like an extension. So we work with them in problems that we are facing and how we solve them. So working with those developers or those engineering managers, senior engineering managers, they uplift my technical skill set. So there was once we were sitting with friends and somebody asked me that, Hamza, if money was not a problem, what would you do in your life? And my wife said, he will still teach. Right? I also teach at Stanford's SPD. I also teach at UCLA. I also have a book. They are also, rewarding in terms of the experiences that I gain. Because otherwise you will not, yes, you will talk to customers, but you will not talk to so many people. Like, I met somebody from Airbnb, and he was one of my students in the course, and he was like, I think we should take what you have built for Airbnb to Airbnb and tell them, do this now.
Love it. Amazing. Hamza, thank you so much for coming. If you guys want to check out his Maven courses, you can use code AakashXMaven to get a discount. He has 2 courses, as he said, Agentic Engineering Bootcamp and Agentic AI System Design for PMs. I recommend them both. Hamza, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Absolutely, Aakash. It's a pleasure.
So if you want to learn more about how to shift to this way of working, check out our full conversation on Apple or Spotify podcasts. And if you want the actual documents that we showed, the tools and frameworks and public links, be sure to check out my newsletter post with all of the details. Finally, thank you so much for watching. It would really mean a lot if you could make sure you are subscribed on YouTube, following on Apple or Spotify podcasts, and leave us a review on those platforms. That really helps grow the podcast and support our work so that we can do bigger and better productions. I'll see you in the next one.